What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Fight Network's Downtown Studios. John Ramdeen and Robin Black with you. UFC 208 going down in Brooklyn, New York this Saturday night. Of course, the women's 145-pound champion will be crowned. Holly Holm taking on Germaine de Randamie. Some of the other big fights on this card, Derek Brunson taking on mixed martial arts legend Anderson Silva. What do you anticipate from Anderson Silva at this stage of his career? The guy still wants to compete. He's got a boatload of money. He does not need to step in there, but will he suffer the same fate as Andrei Arlovski, as BJ Penn, as some of these aging mixed martial arts legends?
Well, we thought BJ could go out, and if he was really focused, and if he changed, and if he fought the right game plan, and again, I know I've said this a few times, but if you go watch the first 2 minutes of BJ versus Rodriguez and turn it off,
you have
you'd
the
be
assignment.
Like, BJ knows what to do. Close the distance, get the body lock, push him against the fence. Hey, it's working. And then all it took was a couple of body kicks or even some kicks off the arm, and the new technology was able to beat that guy up. And we might see that too. You know, Brunson's knocking guys out in the first round, and sometimes when you come from a different era, so Anderson Silva in his prime, guys couldn't touch him. He was like Dominic Cruz in his prime. Guys just couldn't really get to him. His head, it was that idea of being out in the matrix, making you overextend. He was really on the pioneering end of that. So you believe, you see him, oh, I can do that, yeah, I'll just make him miss. Well, everybody else who's been rendered unconscious believed they could also make him miss. So it's very hard to say. You know, Anderson was always way, way better at moving his head and his body than he was at moving his feet.
Yeah,
and that's why Chris was able to get to him. If you go back and you look, when Weidman got to the chin, the feet were stable as he was sitting there out there, and that's a dangerous game to play. I'd love to see Anderson go out there and do well. I'd love to see him go out and in a state of play really show it. Against Bisping, he had one killer round, really almost two really great rounds, so it's still in him to do it, and it would be really cool to see him do it. But Derek Brunson, hyper-focused, is going to show up there disbelieving the old Anderson Silva, because we've seen a lot of people through disbelief. So, I'm not buying it. Able to get to him. So I'm excited to see the fight, and you know, I've always been a bit of a Anderson Silva troll, but I'm starting to cheer for Anderson. That's old guys, you know. When you see a guy, like you pointed out, he doesn't need to fight. He wants to fight. You got to cheer for that.
The thing is, we know that there's so much ego involved in the fight game. For Anderson Silva, you talk about the state of play. We've talked to countless fighters out there that say it's one of the reasons why they loved Anderson Silva, because he could be free inside of this crazy environment and do his thing. As you pointed out, he's in the matrix. He sees everything slowly. Now, how does he make sure that ego is pushed out of the way? The assignment is go out there and destroy Derek Brunson, be the best version of me, be elusive, make this guy miss, make him pay, get my arm raised so everybody remembers what type of fighter I am.
Yeah, and you don't need to act crazy to do that.
Yes.
The truth is, there's some beliefs in people who study human performance, sports psychology types, professors of psychology who study human performance, who see sometimes when you're out there goofing around, it is giving yourself an excuse for if you were to fail. And it's a subconscious belief that if you went out there and there was none of this goofiness, you just committed, my jab and my low kick, I'm going to take this guy apart, and failed, it would be a failure. If you didn't take it to your maximum, if you didn't really express your full capacity and failed, well, you know, I could still get him next time if I really buckled down. That it is giving yourself an out. And is Anderson one of those guys? Not necessarily. But the fight with Weidman is the turning point in his career. And he was clowning and playing. And when it didn't work, his answer was do it more. And what he needed to do, the answer in that state, was to do it less. And get fucking serious for a second here and go out and be Anderson Silva and annihilate this guy. That's how he has to approach it. Hey, he doesn't have to. I just said that's how he has to approach this. That's what people on TV say all the time. Anderson Silva's Anderson Silva. He can do whatever he wants. He can go out there and fight any way he wants, and he's earned the right to do so. But sometimes going out and making that choice, you know, yes, the play is part of it, and yes, misdirection is part of it, but I'm Anderson Silva, and I am way better than this guy, and I'm going to assassinate him.
And if you're Derek Brunson, aren't you saying, I watched lots of guys beat this guy. The myth is destroyed. I'm going to go out and crush this legend, and I'm going to make my name off of Anderson Silva, and I'm going to send this guy packing. I'm not convinced at all if I'm Derek Brunson.
Yeah, and that's...
You're giving him respect, of course.
That's the approach to take. And then Anderson's job is to convince him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Gravity doesn't care if you think it's real or not. Gravity works. And Anderson Silva, if he's performing at his best, he doesn't care whether you believe he's Anderson Silva or not. He shows up and he's Anderson fucking Silva. And that's how he can approach this fight, and that's how he will approach this fight. And this is a really, really cool fight. As your career changes and you get into your 40s, you fight Yair Rodriguez on his way up. You fight Derek Brunson on his way up, and it becomes a really interesting test for you to reveal to yourself and the rest of the world where you really are.